Ricochet. What more do I have to say? Rico freaking Shay. He has been, ever since he joined AEW, he started off being the same guy he was in NXT and in WWE, being this high-flying, fulfilling all the dream matches but unrestricted, to having a American Psycho-like character, because that's the vibe I'm getting. And no, I do not support him having the Andrew Tate philosophy that he was showcasing on Twitter, because that's the dumbest idea you can do considering how Andrew Tate's ended up. But oh man, seeing Ricochet go from being just the high-flying, athletic, rubber-boned wrestler that he is to this American Psycho aesthetic character, and especially when you got moments where he's just using scissors to stab his enemies with, which was hilarious. And then he enters this violent feud with Mark Briscoe, and it would culminate at Double or Nothing in the first ever AEW stretcher match, which I'm pretty sure Darby Allin's looking at this right now being like, why didn't I think of this beforehand? And he had also entered a mini feud heading into the show with Zach Gowen. Remember him? The guy who beat the crap out of Vince only to end up losing the match anyways, because of course that had to happen because Vince has to be a god complexing idiot. Remember Zach Gowen, the guy who had a disease that took one of his legs? Yeah, he came back and came back to wrestle for one more match and wrestled Ricochet on AEW Dynamite, and it culminated with Ricochet stealing the leg, thus earning more irate heat from people, calling himself the leg stealer. Oh, and he also gets to brag now that he has Samantha as his wife now, so I'm pretty sure something's going to be said about that. And we all know how Samantha was being treated by fans after she left WWE and had not signed with AEW, thus disproving everything. And then they went after her and shadow banned her YouTube video, her first music video, because she's not WWE, therefore she is the enemy. I am still annoyed by that. But, yeah, with all this stuff going on with Mark Briscoe, this would culminate in a stretcher match, first time ever in AEW, Double or Nothing, and especially, I enjoyed this part. Ricochet decides to come out of the show dressed up in the Akatsuki gear with his logo, and he would dress like he would pose like Hitachi with the arm and all that through the coat, and it just made me go, oh, he thinks he's him. I'm like, I don't blame him for that, but still, good attempt there. And this match with Briscoe, Ricochet is actually operating with intelligence. He's a heel with intelligence. He's not acting like I will somehow respect the honor system even though I'm supposed to be a villain. No, instead when Briscoe has his back turned to him trying to get the hype crowd going, he gets his ass kicked, leading to this fight throughout the padded floor and the stretcher. And there's a moment where Mark Briscoe pulls him kind of comedically to the ambulance, to the stretcher. Like, I would have called it an ambulance match by that logic, but normally when a stretcher match happens, when I recall, it's basically just get the guy up to the stage, whereas this sounds more like it's an ambulance match, so just call it that. That sounds way more awesome. But when Ricochet tries to escape Mark Briscoe after Briscoe pulls him up to the stage and whatnot, Ricochet kind of realizes where he's at, and then he runs away like, I'm running like an anime coward and whatnot. And being like, considering he was dressed as an anime character, I think that was intentional. And oh god, this match got bloody real fast. Like, Mark Briscoe bled like a lot. And I was like, oh god, this guy does it for the love of the game. And plus, he's given, and plus, given the fact that he goes ahead and is given this opportunity to be on TV, to be on pay-per-view on this show, because tragic stuff happened that I do not want to talk about, because if I do, I'm going to get pissed off at Warner Bros. Discovery for their continued stubbornness trying to make sure that he doesn't get honored. And then Tony Khan having to put his foot down on WBD and telling them, no, we're going to honor Jay Briscoe, goddammit. We're going to honor him. If you can't accept that, we're going to take action or something like that. But, yeah. And it was just brutal. It got brutal. Like, this was a match I thought wasn't going to get that brutal. In fact, it's actually the dark horse match of the night. It really was. Like, I was surprised how good this match was. Like, I was more invested in this than I probably could have expected. And Ricochet, like I said, has been doing a phenomenal job ever since he left WWE and joined AEW. He has been killing it. He has been stealing the shows. He has been doing such phenomenal character work and being like, proving everybody, see, I have a personality. I can give a personality when I'm allowed to, and when I have unrestricted access to go ahead and do whatever the fuck I please. And culminating with both of them, with him using the scissors under the ring and the golden scissors as he uses, and stabbing Mark Briscoe through the head, bleeding him, making him bleed even more, as if he didn't have enough blood to pour out. And near the end of the match, Mark Briscoe gets the scissors, prepares to stab the life out of Mark Briscoe, as Mark Briscoe is prepared to stab the life out of Ricochet, and then Ricochet basically reveals, "Ha! I have a second pair of scissors." I'm honestly surprised they didn't do a sword fight with the scissors at that point, with what they had, with how comedic things got. But yeah. After beating the crap out of him. Oh, also during the match, when Ricochet thought he was going to win and flip the crowd off, Mark Briscoe decided to use the crutches that they left to the ambulance to go ahead and stop the door from closing on him. And, well, of course, Ricochet is very, very animated in his attitude, so that's fun. And then we got the fire extinguisher involved, so that was expected. And this eventually culminates with Ricochet going ahead and landing the spirit gun. I think that was called that. I keep thinking of other things. I keep thinking the hidden blade, but that's Will Ospreay's move. So I think it's called the spirit gun, continuing his anime traditions and whatnot. Makes sense considering he is literally an anime character come to life with how he moves. And Ricochet closes the door on Mark Briscoe and gets the victory, celebrating. And he's standing, and there's this incredible camera shot at the end of the match where it shows the scissors on the floor with blood next to it to basically highlight, this is what you're gonna get. This is the match you're gonna get from this. This is what you're gonna get. Scissors and blood. Sharp scissors to be exact. And Ricochet once again ups his stock in the wrestling business with this run. He is on a phenomenal level. Like, he was great in WWE as a wrestler, and he was doing some pretty good stuff until he got sidelined, and then he came back and then got the crap beat out of him, because if I had to take a guess, it was partially because they were hoping to get Will Ospreay at the time, and the only reason that he was pushed for that. And then when they couldn't get Will Ospreay, and the subsequent shots they made about him on WrestleMania tour, because that's a brilliant idea. Biggest show of the year, and you're more focused on AEW instead of WrestleMania 40 years of WrestleMania. Let's talk about how Will Ospreay, even though I'm not gonna say his name, gonna go ahead and say he ran from the grind. He clearly, I didn't want you anyways. You were a coward. And I'm still trying to process how the fuck Triple H even thought that was a great idea. And I'm just like, dude, just say his name. We know who you're talking about, dude. Just say his fucking name. But yeah, and Ricochet, I'm impressed they didn't go the easy route and having Ricochet turn heel sooner by having him blame Will Ospreay for his run in WWE. That kind of shows the amount of restraint they've been having lately when it comes to mentioning WWE and their rather unethical ways of pushing a wrestler just to get another wrestler signing with them and then tossing the other guy to the curb. But yeah, jokes on them. He has Samantha in his life now. He has Samantha as a married woman, so I'm pretty sure every guy who wants to get her is now whining in despair. And every WWE tribalist is right now bitching about the fact that, oh no, it can't be. How could she do this? He went to the enemy, and now she left, and she's gonna go to the enemy, but she's not. She's just trying to do music videos. But like, if they offered her a role to be a manager for Ricochet, I'm pretty sure she'll take it, because that was one of the things she wanted to do in WWE, was be a manager or a general manager. But they were like, nah, we think you're content being a ring announcer. We say so. And I've covered that on my on my wrestling podcast. I have no idea the stats on that. I'm pretty certain I might try to rework that, retool everything. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. On the NRE Universe side, it's just that there was a lot of wrestling news that just pissed me off. Like, there's something about wrestling compared to everywhere else that makes me really mad, not wanting to talk about it. I think it's just the absurdity of the fact that I grew up with these guys, I grew up with these characters, and to see the people behind the characters be sometimes megalomaniac pieces of you-know-what, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. And then there are people who are gone, and then I have to deal with social media people, and we all know how that worked out. I left Twitter. But, yeah. And now Ricochet is thinking of forming a new faction, because that is the way of the AEW method. We need to have everybody be in a faction so it can be easier to book stuff. I'm like, and this is not like me accusing them of saying that. They actually said it's much easier for them because they were in Japan. The Young Bucks confessed, yeah, the reason we do factions is because we were in Japan, plus it's easier. So, I'm not blaming them. Like, they wrestled in Japan a lot. There was a lot of factions in New Japan Pro Wrestling alone, so it made sense that they would think, oh, well, this worked here, we can bring that over here. At least they'll give it credit and say where it came from. Yeah. But, yeah, Ricochet is now teasing he's forming a new group, and this time it's going to consist of him, Leo Rush, and Action Andrade. Which, if that does indeed happen, I'll be all for it. And some people kept saying, like, he's calling it the Crew or something, which I actually think that works. If he calls it the Crew, I'm pretty sure that's going to work. I'm like, that's not the worst they've made in wrestling factions. We had Eddie Kingston lead a faction called The Family, even though there wasn't really any vibes of a mafia in it. I'm like, besides him, but that's a different matter. But, and that was only cobbled together because the pandemic happened and Pac was gone, so they couldn't do Death Triangle as much. But seeing Ricochet be given these opportunities in AEW, it's really refreshing. I still remember watching him in NXT Black and Gold, bleeding the Black and Gold brand, and his awesome matches with a lot of talent, including one with a name whose name I will not mention, but I will just say, God damn it, man, you had so much going for you, man. And you threw it all away. And then you're making EC3 come out and reveal stuff about you and saying stuff that made me go, holy crap. If you got that guy saying you're nuts, then I think you're nuts. But, yeah, enough about that guy. It's just an exciting time to see Ricochet. I look forward to what he does next. As for Mark Briscoe, surprisingly, that was not the end of the night for him. I'll get to that in a later video, but yeah, I've been waking up early. That's why I've been making these videos. So this was your host, Eric Brown of NRE of Nia Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, NRE Studios. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my content in the description below. Stay tuned for more. I'll see y'all again next time. Peace and take care. And oh God, man, it feels fun to just talk about this again. Peace.